Okay. Welcome. Good morning, and thank you for joining us for this virtual community conversation. My name is Adelita Winchester, and I'm the Chief Programs Officer for Caritas of Austin. Caritas of Austin hosts 3 to 4 community conversations per year, highlighting our programs and partnerships in the community. For today's event, we want to focus on our employment program and how we work with employers in the community, our clients get jobs that help them to establish stability after experiencing homelessness, and with refugees who are eligible for services. Today, I will be acting as the moderator on the panel. I have several prepared questions to ask each of our panel participants, and then we'll have time for questions from all of you. To ask a question, simply go to the bottom of your screen, click on Q&A at the bottom, type your question, and press send. We want to end about 12:15, and we'll answer as many questions as possible in the time we've allotted. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists. Mike Kakarash is the Caritas Employment Program Manager, and he has been with the organization for 5 years. Welcome, Mike. Mike has been, and so he's also overseeing in the employment program, both the supported employment and refugee employment services. Our employment program is open to all qualified clients. Fred Cartmill is president of FJC Personnel. FJC has been an employment partner with Caritas of Austin for approximately 5 years. They provide staffing services to fill temporary staffing needs, project and contract jobs, as well as matching candidates to employers through their direct placement division. FJC is a people-driven company with strong ties in the community, and they're proud to make a positive difference in the lives of our neighbors and the well-being of our communities. Welcome, Fred. Last but not least, our third panelist is Chris Thornton, a veteran and a Caritas Employment Program client. Chris Thornton is a veteran who first got involved with Caritas of Austin early this year through our veteran housing program. He joined our supportive employment program this past June.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Excellent, thank you.
So are we ready for questions?
Absolutely.
I will go ahead and ask each of you your set of questions, and then I'll move on to the next panelist if that is okay. So Mike, let's start with you. Would you tell us how the employment program works for refugees and housing clients and what services are offered currently?
Yes, thank you, Adelita. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today to our community conversation to learn about our services at Caritas of Austin, specifically the employment program. The employment program branches out into 2 sub-programs. One of them is the supported employment program, through which we support our housing clients who have experienced some homelessness at some parts in their lives, but are now successfully enrolled in one of our housing programs, working directly with case managers and are provided wraparound services, everything that's related to housing and case management. And at the same time, they are referred by one of our case managers in one of our housing programs to the support employment program, where they work directly with one of our support employment specialists who is providing employment focused services. Now that is the support employment program. The other program that we have is the refugee support services program, through which we support our refugee populations. And the refugee populations that we have are parolees, asylees, refugees, and special immigrant visa holders. All of these clients in the refugee program come to us through one of the federal government agency who has granted them a legal status, whether that agency is the Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice, or the Department of State. Now, when both populations come to the employment program, we provide them employment services by starting with an assessment of the client's skills and needs. From there, we go to develop an employment service plan with the client's input and the client's career, short, intermediate, and long-term goals. And once we have that in place, then we will go from there to refer clients to our internal education classes, such as job readiness class, refugee cultural orientation, gender dialogue, introduction to education industry training, through which they get a food handler certificate, and several other classes that we offer internally through our education program. We also refer clients to outside agencies for educational and vocational training, such as English language instruction, and also vocational training such as HVAC and CDL. Now, once we have clients gone through these the process of these classes and referrals, then we start resume building. Then we provide employment clothing, tools, supplies, start job application process, and then the job placement. Now, once the client is placed in a job, we continue working with that client up to at least 90 days of follow-ups at 30, 60, 90 days intervals to make sure that that client is stable at his or her job, or the employer is good, and they and that we are there if they need any support services. Now, while our support employment clients get all the case management services from one of our housing clients, the refugees get all the support employment services from the employment program at Caritas. But if there is a need for any case management services, then we will be referring them to a community partner agency in the town. But at the same time, we also have the capacity to provide rent and utility assistance, especially during the pandemic. And then we also have our clients, the clients that come to us from both populations, we can say also are of two types: those who are employment ready, and those who are willing to work. The ones that are employment ready, we adopt the approach of employment first, meaning that as soon as they come to us, if they're employment ready, then we will go ahead and look for competitive jobs for them in the community and place them in a job right away. Those who are willing to work but not employment ready, then we will start the sequence of services that I mentioned earlier, from the development of the employment service plan to resume building, all the way to job placements and on-the-job coaching and support up to 90 days.
Okay. Are you able, let me piggyback on that very quickly, Mike. Are you able sometimes to refer the refugee clients internally to a program for case management?
That can also be the case when they meet the requirement for one of our housing programs. For example, the housing stability. Over the last couple of years, we have referred some clients to that program, and they have been enrolled and served by one of our case managers in housing stability. Yes.
Okay, thank you. The next question for you is, can you give us an example of an experience with a client that was particularly impactful?
Absolutely. We do have, we have actually a lot of examples of those impactful services enrollments in the employment program. I can give you two for each program. In the support employment, as soon as we launched our support employment program back in September of 2019, one of the very first clients that we enrolled in the program from one of our housing program was unemployed for such a long period of time, and they needed that support from us so we can get them employed. And we were successful at placing that client in a job within a matter of 1 week. And we stayed with that client for at least up to 90 days. They were stable, and when we closed their case, they were self-sufficient and independent. Another example I can give you is from our refugee population. Recently, we enrolled one of our clients who had driving experience as was interested in truck driving. We enrolled that client in a CDL course, that's commercial driver license, and he took that course for some time. As soon as that client graduated, we were able to place that client after only 4 days of graduation with one of our employer partners, making $22 per hour. And that client still is working with that employer.
Excellent. How do our partnerships with employers work, and why are they so important to Caritas?
We have been in the business for so many years now, and we have over 350 employer partners in the city of Austin and the surrounding cities. And one of them is here with us today, Mr. Fred from FJC Personnel. The way it works with our employer partners is that we are in constant communications with them through emails, through phone calls, and also during normal times, we do site visits. They come to visit Caritas to see how we operate, and we also go and visit them to see how they operate. Sometimes we even take clients to some of these employers to show them firsthand how they operate, let's say in the industrial kitchen, or like how like a factory is working, doing like on-site orientation with these employers, which results in those clients having first-hand experience, seeing how the employers work, and then they show interest in working with that employer. So that is how we communicate with our employers. And also, why is it important to have those employers? Because we are all community members, and we are looking for the good of the community, whether that is a client who needs a job and as a result an income to be independent and self-sufficient, or an employer who needs the manpower to produce the goods, and the community that needs that goods. And at the end of the day, it is for the collective good of the community. And yeah, so those are the two good important reasons why it is important to have that relationship with the employers and also other community partners in the community. And one thing that I would like to also mention here is that all of our services that we are providing to clients and to employers are free of charge. Our goal here is to meet the community needs and help all the partners meet their needs.
Thank you very much, Mike. Fred, I'll now turn to you with a few questions.
Sure.
Would you describe some of the ways you work with our clients to find jobs with employers?
Well, our like Mike said, a lot of our communication is through email. We do like to converse with the folks a lot, but the best way is to get our job orders. A list of jobs is to send them. I usually send them to Mike, and then Mike disseminates those within the community, let's say. So aside from that, then we have some of the managers that will call us, and in our case, it's a referral. So they'll send us a potential candidate, and we've been extremely lucky that we've had it that way. Years ago, when it was a heck of a lot more competitive, I worked with a previous company, but we were able to actually come to, like he said, come to Caritas and actually do group interviews of sometimes 19, sometimes 30 individuals, and I'd bring an office staff and get all that set up so that they wouldn't have to travel either to Round Rock or to North Austin. And try. And one of the things we want to do is guarantee that we actually got to see them, and Caritas does a real good job of getting all the paperwork done as far as eligibility to work and stuff like that. So we had never had a problem with that. The key thing was trying to find work and jobs. And that's the key thing, is that, sometimes we get folks that have no clue, no idea what's going on. And that's fine too. Our job is to vet someone, not just to see if they can work, but to see what kind of work we have for them, safety wise, productivity wise, and some folks that come from other countries are well overeducated for what jobs we may have at time to time, and we still do due diligence to try to find them jobs within their skill sets. And and so I'd hate to see a CPA from a Latin American country just having to work in a food industry. So we try to work things out for every individual and take it case by case.
Okay, thank you. The next question I have for you is, can you tell us about a client you were able to place in a job that was particularly successful?
I'll tell you, let's go back to what happened a few years back. We had an order from a client that was exorbitant, a huge order, probably about 184 people. And we went nuts. And this is when we first got associated with Alejandro and with Caritas. And he's the one who set us up with tables, I mean, booths, offices at Caritas, and provided that for us. And we were surprised. I mean, we get that service from TWC, but that's their job, you know. But we were, you know, genuinely surprised at they I think they brought donuts, they brought coffee, they had a station for all of us to enjoy, but at the same time, you know, to get down to the business of putting people to work. And to me, that was momentous, because I think out of the group that we had kids from Nigeria, we had them from Honduras, from Nicaragua, we had them from Bosnia, you know, and some of them most of them had went through hard knocks of learning English, and most of them could understand a little bit, but it was enough to put them to work. And the company that we worked with, luckily, had 3 or 4 different languages that they were able to supply with, and so there was a good transition. So, and those kind of things are important too, is that our clients are willing to work with us, you know. And one of our clients now is allowing us to work with certain handicapped, which we didn't think they would, but they do, and they're supplying a place to make it compatible, you know. So it's just making things happen, and not just trying to parlay them through, but it's truly finding out what their needs are. And you know, it's important that we have the human touch, not just the HR or the push, you know, way of doing things.
Okay, thank you. Fred, if you were talking with another employer, how would you describe the benefits of being an employment partner with Caritas?
Well, I mean, it goes back to what I said before. Because of finding that the people we work with at Caritas want to help us. It's not just a job. I think a lot of these folks are genuinely interested in helping people, and that's important. And that's one of my mottos. If you read my website, it says that if you don't want to help people, then don't. Just get out of the way and let the people that want to help intervene and do the job. Because you know, of the 26 years that I've worked in staffing, that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that everybody has a chance, everybody has a capability and ability to get to work, you know. And it's a genuine effort that companies like ourselves and companies, outfits like Caritas, is that there are people that care and are going to care, and they're going to make everything possible to go to the next level, whether it's a, you know, $10 an hour job, which sometimes seems like doesn't pay well, and to the more, you know, 15, 20, 25, $30 an hour jobs, you know. And but you know, make the jobs and make sure that the jobs are compatible with people's abilities, you know, capabilities, and that it's a plus situation. It's a win-win situation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Last but not least, Chris, you're here as a voice for so many of the other clients that we serve, and want to thank you for being here to speak about your experience with us. Would you tell us about how you first got involved with Caritas?
So I was already working at Buffalo Wild Wings, and I was actually living in a veterans housing, so I was technically considered homeless. And they helped a friend of mine out. And shortly thereafter, Mike Funch, or excuse me, Anthony, not Mike. I'm sorry. Hi, Mike. Anthony Funch, who I've worked with before for another veterans program, was working at Caritas, and he helped me get housing very quickly, actually. And what I was surprised about, and I want to applaud Caritas for this, is I was supplied with everything, like from furniture to toiletries, a bed, donated furniture, everything. My house so the apartment went from empty to completely homely before they left. And it was awesome. It was a great feeling. And I would lay in my bed that night and I would just look and I would just be like, man, like they helped me get all this, you know, and it was so liberating and it felt awesome.
Could you tell us about your experience so far in our employment program and how it's helped you?
So it's leaned more towards schooling, but I want to be a mechanic and I'm trying to get into ACC to become a mechanic. So that's what we're in the process of doing now. But as far as employment, I know that they have helped my friends out. Like I had a roommate that lived at the veterans house. They got him a job very quickly as well. So I know that you guys are able to, and y'all have the resources to be able to get people hooked in where they most likely wouldn't be able to do on their own.
Tell us about your working relationship with your employment specialist at Caritas.
It's good. We talk all the time and we send emails and I'm I'm I can be professional, but I'm very friendly. So it comes across that way through conversation between us and it's really good. I love our relationship that we have.
You know, Mike described the whole process of someone getting into the employment program. Can you talk a little bit about those steps that you've gone through already? You have a case plan that was developed in terms of what your goals are and all of that. And how did you feel about that? Were you expecting all of that?
Well, to be honest, no, I wasn't. I was just kind of going with the flow. I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do. Let's do this. All right, we got this done. What's next? And they were ready to raise the bar when I raised the bar, and it's really good. I love the way we interact, and I love what y'all do and how y'all are able to do it for people. It's really surprising because I've lived in San Antonio. I've been homeless there before, and they don't have a program like y'all have here in Austin.
So you feel you've had a voice throughout the process?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely.
Okay. That would conclude my questions. Mike, Chris, Fred, do you have anything you want to add before we go to the question and answer? Okay, for those of you who are participants, remember, if you want to ask a question, click on the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and I'm going to check right now to see what we have there. And at this point in time, we actually do not have any questions. Let me check. Gentlemen, you did a fantastic job. People don't have any questions for you. So I think I'll go ahead and make our closing remarks here. So on behalf of Caritas of Austin, I want to thank all of our panelists for being here to participate in this conversation. I also want to thank all of you who are listening and watching for joining us today. We hope you learned something new and you'll join us again at future community conversations. This conversation was recorded and we will post it, the link to it on Facebook and Twitter. If you do not already receive our e-newsletter and emails, I invite you to visit our website at Caritas of Austin and sign up. Thank you again and have a great day. Oh, wait, we have one question. It just came in.
Oh, good.
Okay. The person who sent the question, your question is not showing up. Could you retype it in maybe? Try again. We have a few minutes to wait for you to try that. Okay, the question is, I am working with a refugee. How can I refer for help with job placement?
Okay, so yeah, as far as refugee referrals are concerned, you can give them Caritas address and they can come right here to our lobby. Our community service representative will be screening them to see if they're eligible for our services, or they can go to Caritas website and go to the employment, and there we have an electronic link to an assessment sheet that they can fill out and submit, and I will be getting that sheet and get back to them. Or they can call me or call the front desk and ask for refugee services, job placement in this case. And again, we can do the assessment over the phone and then contact them later for enrollment purposes.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any other questions? Let me check. No, that is it. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for participating. And thank you again to our panelists.
Thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you very
you're
much.
very welcome. It is a pleasure meeting all of y'all.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you.